Well, we're live here finally. I apologize. At Eagle Field at the campus of Georgetown High School. The game between your Georgetown Eagles and the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers is underway. We're in the bottom of the third. The Eagles have a 3-run lead, and currently at the plate for your Eagles is number 3, Riley Hill. He steps in from the right side. The Eagles 1 run in the first, 2 runs in the second. And I apologize for the delay start. If anything could go wrong today for the first ball game of the season, it did. Hill puts it into play out to shortstop. Shortstop's up with it across the diamond in time to first base for the third out of the inning. So after 3 complete innings, your Georgetown Eagles lead it 3-0 over the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. We'll take a quick timeout. Be back with the top of the fourth. You're listening to Georgetown Eagle Baseball live on SHN. Back here live, Eagles Stadium. And the Eagles go to the top of the fourth inning. Brady Peters remains on the mound for your Eagles. Andrew Nations in left field. Devin Peterson in center. Riley Hill in right field for the Eagles. Cooper Ashby at first base. Talon Ball at second. Your shortstops, Eli Hellman, the third baseman, Riley Leiniger. And behind the plate is Reese Herrera. Chance Pernica, the designated hitter for the Eagles. As we go to the top of the fourth inning, for the Carroll Tigers, coming up to bat is number 6, E.J. Cantu. Steps in here, top of the fourth, to lead things off against Brady Peters on in his 4th inning of work here for Georgetown in the opening game of the season. Peters from the windup, 2-0 count. Ball put into play out to second base. Second baseman up with it across to Ashby at first for the putout. 4-3 for out number 1. I apologize. It is a one-man show right now, so I apologize. I will try to keep it moving and shaking. We'll be back at normal capacity at 7 p.m. here tonight for the second ball game against the Rockwall Heath Hawks. Now stepping in is Jake Cruz from the right side with 1 out here in the top of the fourth. First pitch is just a bit inside. A 1 out here in the top of the fourth. Peters works from the windup. The 1-0 pitch inside. Just misses Cruz for ball number 2. Couple of big hits by the third baseman, Riley Leiniger. In his first 2 plate appearances, he's done a job pushing runs across for the Eagles. That pitch a little bit high. That'll make it a 3-0 count now to Jake Cruz. The 3-0 pitch, high and inside, ball 4. And a 4-pitch walk. We'll put a runner down at first base with 1 out here in the top of the fourth for the Carroll Tigers. Richie Roman will step in for the Tigers. From the right side, 1 out, runner at first. Peters will switch to the stretch here with the runner on base. Peters comes set. Throw to the plate, low and outside. Good block there by Herrera to keep it in front of him. It's ball 1. That keeps Cruz close at first base, unable to advance. Back in the bottom of the second. A couple of Eagles throwing it at home. Great plays in the outfield by the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Shot down the third base line. Just inside the line past a diving Leiniger. But quickly over to make the play is Andrew Nations and get it in. So runners now at first and second after that base hit by Richie Roman. That'll bring up Matthew Martinez with one out. Runners on first and second for the Tigers. Just outside the outstretched arms of Leininger, laid out down the third baseline fair. Nations got over quickly, gets it in to keep the runners at first and second with one out. A lot of wind here today. So that's the noise you hear in our crowd mic down behind home plate. Martinez will take time, step out, reset himself here. So he starts this at bat with runners on first and second, one out here in the top of the fourth inning. Georgetown with a 3-0 lead. Peters a check back to second base. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, strike, or the 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike one. 0-1 the count now to Martinez. Matthew Rodriguez on deck for the Tigers. The Tigers played in the first game of the day against Churchill, the Winston Churchill Chargers out of San Antonio, and they were victorious, and they play the straight back-to-back doubleheader. Swing and a miss on the 0-1 pitch. That'll make the count 0-2 here for Martinez. Peters way ahead here. Jake Cruz down at second. Richie Roman down at first. The runners on the bags for the Tigers here in the top of the fourth. Hellman keeps Roman close at second base. Peters comes set. A look back at second. The 0-2 pitch. Low and outside. Good block by Herrera. The runner's going to go. Herrera throws down, but Leininger can't handle it there. It was up and away. So a stolen base there on that wild pitch. So now that'll move the count to 1-2 strikes, and it'll move runners to the corners for the Tigers with one out here in the top of the fourth. They chase three here early in the ball game. Peters comes set, runners on the corner, a pickoff attempt over to first base. And more camera issues continue. I apologize. I'll have to mess with these timers in between games. There, it's back for us. Another pickoff attempt over to first base. Richie Roman dives back in. Jake Cruz down at third. Roman down at first. One out here in the top of the fourth. Matthew Martinez steps back in. 1-2 strikes. Peters with the 1-2 pitch. On the inside corner, called strike three. Beautiful location there by Peters, and that'll be out number 2 here in the top of the fourth inning. And that'll bring up Matthew Rodriguez, the number 8 hitter in the Tiger lineup, with runners on first and second. Beautiful day for baseball here. Couldn't ask for better weather for this tournament. First pitch, low and outside, ball one. To Rodriguez. Isaac Perez, the on-deck batter for the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Here in the Raising Canes Central Texas First Pitch Classic. Central, beautiful tournament. This one high and inside, a 2-0 count now to Rodriguez. Raising Canes and BSN Sports, proud sponsors of the First Pitch Classic, making this work here. Lots of baseball in the Central Texas area. 6 high schools hosting a 3-day tournament. A pickoff attempt over to first. Richie Roman dives back in safely. The count remains 2 balls and no strikes to Rodriguez here with 2 outs in the top of the fourth. Peters from the stretch. He'll throw over to first base. Roman dives back. At the same time, Rodriguez had called time at home plate. But Peters took his time, throwing back over, trying to keep Roman close. Keep the force play in effect for the Eagles. The 2-0 pitch fouled off down the right field line, out of play. And that'll move the count to 2 balls and 1 strike on Matthew Rodriguez. The Eagles right now taking on Corpus Christi Carroll, the Tigers. At 7 p.m., they'll take on the Rockwall Heath Hawks. And then tomorrow, another doubleheader at 2 p.m. and at 7 p.m. tilts. The 2-1 pitch, low and outside for ball 3. Now a 3-1 count to Matthew Rodriguez. A 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. games tomorrow, and then Saturday, 11:30 and 4:30. 6 ball games here this weekend for your Eagles before they take off next weekend for another tournament in San Antonio. The 3-1 pitch, high and inside, and that'll be another walk. That'll load the bases for the Hawks here in the top of the 4th.
Now batting number 10,
Isaac Perez steps in, the number 9 hitter for the Tigers. He steps in with 2 outs and bases loaded here in the top of the 4th. Georgetown has a 3-0 lead on the Carroll Tigers. Back to the windup is Peters inside with ball 1. Bases full of Tigers here in the top of the 4th. Peters from the windup, the 1-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. 1-1 now. The count to Isaac Perez. Easton Hewitt on deck. For the Tigers, the number 1 hitter in their lineup. The 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball down in the dirt. Nice block by Herrera to keep it in front of him. Count moves to 2 balls and 1 strikes to Perez. Cruz down at third, Roman at second, and Matthew Rodriguez down at first base. This pitch up the middle. Peters tries the barehand. Nice play by the second baseman. Can't get it in time. Peters just missed it from trying to barehand that one. That'll score a run, the first of the ball game for the Tigers. Keep the bases loaded on that single up the middle by Perez, and that'll bring up Easton Hewitt. Bases stay loaded. Tigers cut into the lead. 3-1 now for Georgetown. Hewitt steps in from the right side. Chris Chavez waits on deck. But we'll get a timeout here from the Georgetown sideline. Coach Chad Payne will go out and take a visit with the Peters on the mound. And we'll take a quick break as well. Be right back with more Georgetown baseball in just a moment on SHN. Here live, Eagle Field. The visit ends, and Peters still on the mound for the Eagles from the windup. This pitch in there for a called strike to lead off the at-bat here for Hewitt. 0-1 the count. 2 outs, bases loaded, full of Tigers. The 0-1 pitch from Peters. Ground ball up the middle. Miscommunication there between short and second. And that'll allow another run. The second baseman, the ball was just to the right of second base. And thought Talon Ball would have fielded it. He looked at Hellman. Guess thinking Hellman was coming across, and the ball into center field. Devin Peterson got it in, but not before a run scores. Bases stay loaded. That brings up Chris Chavez from the left side. 1-0. First pitch misses for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Bases still loaded with the Tigers. Threatening to do more damage here. And Chavez hits it into right. And what a play by Talon Ball. Off his glove, and before it hits the ground, lays out, makes the catch for out number 3. Let the Tigers pick up 2 runs here in the top of the 4th, cut the lead to 1. 3-2, Georgetown leads it coming up here in the bottom of the fourth. We'll be right back with more Georgetown Eagle baseball in just a moment on SHN. We go to the bottom of the fourth. I'll clear it up here. Sorry about that. Georgetown leads it 3-2. Leading it off here. It's going to be Chance Pernica for your Eagles. Isaac Perez still on the mound. Right-hander throwing for the Tigers. Here to the top of the fourth. First pitch to Pernica, fouled off for strike one. 0-1 to count to Pernica. 3-2 Georgetown. 1 run in the bottom of the first, 2 in the bottom of the second. And Corpus Christi Carroll just answered with 2 in the top of the fourth. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Georgetown leading 3-2. Pernica. Let's see who we got. I apologize. Pernica, Peters, and Ashby due up here for the Eagles. Perez from the windup. The 0-1 pitch outside corner for strike 2. 0-2 the count now. To Chance Pernica, the designated hitter in game number 1 here for the Eagles. Up next here in the Raising Cane Central Texas First Pitch Classic. I believe it's going to be Winston Churchill out of San Antonio and Rockwall Heath to face off in the 4:30 tilt. And then the Eagles will be back to take on the Rockwall Heath Hawks at 7 p.m. The 0-2 pitch up and in for a ball. 1-2 now the count to Pernica. Perez from the windup. The 1-2 pitch and fouled off. Way to fight that one off. Pernica stays alive. In the at-bat, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here in the bottom of the fourth, no outs. Perez back ready from the windup. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Pernica. Perez takes his time. Pernica takes time, and he'll reset himself. Step back in with a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Here leading off in the bottom of the fourth. Perez from the windup. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Pernica down on strikes for out number 1. And that'll bring up Brady Peters for the Eagles. Peters steps in from the right side. Perez set from the windup. First pitch to Peters. Misses low and outside. Ball 1. You can hear that wind howling in the background. Kind of coming out of left field, out of the north. The 1-0 pitch. Ground ball. Hit out towards shortstop. High bounder. The third baseman's going to cut it off. His throw across the diamond high and over the head of the first baseman. Peters rounds first. He's headed to second. The catcher down to throw it to second, but not in time as Peters slides in safely. So E6 on the play allows Peters to reach base and moves up to second base on the same error. And that'll have a runner at second with 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth. And that'll bring a courtesy runner into the ball game for the pitcher, Brady Peters, and that's going to be number 9, none other than Noah Boris. If you've heard that name, it's because it was the district offensive MVP in football for the Georgetown Eagles. What a year he had at quarterback for Georgetown. So now a runner at second with one out. A swing and a miss by Cooper Ashby. 0-1 to count now to Ashby. I promise I'll keep up with the cameras here in a minute, trying to do it all at the same time. I apologize. Boris will take a lead off second base. Perez from the stretch, the 0-1 pitch. Outside for ball one. Just misses. Ashby takes a look down at Coach Vieira in the third base coaching box. Georgetown Eagles, if you didn't remember, the 2022 5A state champions in baseball. A lot of seniors have moved on. And a new-looking team here. Ashby takes on the off-speed pitch for strike two. Called. 1-2, now the count with one out. Here in the bottom of the fourth inning, I apologize. Noah Boris on to run for Brady Peters at second base. Perez takes a look from the stretch. The 1-2 pitch. And Ashby sends it into left field. And there's the camera going to sleep on me. Catch made by the left fielder. The wind's knocking everything back. He had plenty of time there. Makes the catch, F7 in the books. And that makes it 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning for your Eagles. And that'll bring up Talon Ball. Correction, that'll bring up Andrew Nations. I apologize. The left fielder, he'll step in from the left side with 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Runner down at second base. First pitch, Nations hits it back up the middle off the glove of a diving Perez on the mound. Right to the second baseman. He'll make the play to first base for out number 3, 4-3 on the putout. And I'll figure it out here in a minute. I apologize. But that's the third out here in the bottom of the fourth. The Eagles, no runs, no hits, no errors. Or correction, no runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. After 4 complete innings, 3-2 is your score. Georgetown leads it by 1 over the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Quick timeout, back with more baseball here on SHN. The G-Town Lumber and Supply call to the bullpen. Now we bring in number 13. That's Brandon Hawkins Stovall. He comes in relief for the Eagles here in the top of the 5th inning, replacing Brady Peters after 4 complete innings of work. Stovall, the right-handed thrower, warms up here with Herrera. Stovall Hawkins, if you've heard that name before, one of the Georgetown Eagle football players that plays 2 sports, at least 2 sports here at Georgetown High School. Jacob Faltasek on the team as well with Noah Boris and Brandon Stovall Hawkins. Faltasek and Stovall Hawkins, the both seniors. Noah Boris, the junior. He'll be back next year for the Georgetown Eagles. As Hawkins finishes up his warm-ups here. Due up here in the top of the 5th for the Tigers. Palomo, Cantu, and Cruz. Dave Palomo steps in from the right side. Palomo, the catcher for the Tigers. Stovall Hawkins, Brandon from the windup. The first pitch to Palomo, and the ball sent into right field. That'll be a base hit. In to make the play, the right fielder. He'll scoop it up and throw it in. So a leadoff single here. In the top of the 5th, has a runner on first for the Tigers. And that'll bring up E.J. Cantu, the second baseman. Cantu will bat from the left side. Steps out, gets the sign. So leadoff runner aboard. No outs here in the top of the fifth. Georgetown leads it 3-2 over the Carroll Tigers. Brandon Stovall Hawkins on the mound from the stretch. A look at first. Comes set. And a pickoff attempt over to first. Palomo dives back in safely. Cantu back in from the left side. Stovall Hawkins a look over at first. Comes set, the first pitch. Inside for a ball. Nice play there by Herrera. Keep that in front of him. 1-0 the count here to Cantu. Last year, this tournament, a lot of freezing temperatures and ice in the area. Did not get played, and beautiful weather in response here. The 1-0 pitch. That'll hit Cantu. And now the Tigers will have the first two batters aboard.
Now bat number 24, Jake Cruz.
With no outs here in the top of the fifth, and that'll bring up Jake Cruz, the first baseman for the Tigers. Runners on first and second, no outs. Palomo down at second, Cantu down at first. As Cruz steps in here. Stovall Hawkins from the stretch. Turn towards second, no throw there. Both runners return. Jake Cruz back in the box from the right side. Stovall Hawkins gets set. Cruz turns the bunt, the pitch. Up and away for ball one. 1-0 the count to Cruz. Runners on first and second. No outs here in the top of the fifth inning. 3-2, Georgetown leads it. 1 run in the first, 2 in the second. Carroll Tigers respond with 2 in the top of the fourth. And have the first 2 runners aboard here in the top of the fifth inning. With no outs, Jake Cruz, the first baseman, the 5-hitter in the lineup. Now up with 1 ball and no strike to count. Both runners take a lead. Brandon Stovall Hawkins comes set from the stretch. Cruz squares the bunt. The bunt out in front of the plate. Stovall Hawkins will field it. Can't handle it. And all runners are going to be safe. That'll be an error on the pitcher. Brandon Stovall Hawkins, and that'll load the bases with no outs here in the top of the fifth inning. And that'll bring up Richie Roman, the third baseman for the Tigers. Stovall Hawkins will go back to the windup with no outs and the bases loaded. Carroll Tigers put across 2 in the top of the fourth, looking to do damage here in the top of the fifth. Now Hawkins will step off. Go through the signals again with his catcher, Herrera. Now we'll have a timeout from the Georgetown dugout. Assistant coach Chad Payne comes out to visit. We'll take a quick timeout. Back with more Eagle baseball in just a moment. Back here live after the visit with Coach Chad Payne. First pitch to Roman, low and outside, ball 1. 1-0 count here. To Roman, bases loaded, no outs. Here in the top of the fifth. Hawkins comes set from the stretch. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss. Strike one. Evens out the count at 1-1. To Roman. Love to see a ground ball here. Try to turn two. The infield in. All at the edge of the grass. Hawkins comes set. The 1-1 pitch, low and outside. Herrera with a beautiful scoop there to keep it in front of him. The runners stay put. 2-1 now the count to Richie Roman. Roman steps in from the back end from the right side. 2-1 the count. No outs here in the top of the fifth. The 2-1 pitch, swing, ball hit into left field. It'll hang up for the left fielder. The catch made. He'll come up throwing, and he's throwing home, and it's at the mark to Herrera. Running at home plate. He did make a slide attempt. But a double play there, unconventional, and Herrera's going to have to reset himself. The runner did not try to get down and avoid contact. Ran into Herrera at home plate. Was tagged out. Now what a double play there. F7 and then 7-2 on the putout. The runners advance to second and third. But two big outs there. Not the double play you thought you might see on a ground ball. But the Eagles will take it. No run on the board. Now runners on second and third with two outs here in the bottom of the or top of the fifth. The first pitch into Matthew Martinez is called strike one. What a job there by the Eagle left fielder, Andrew Nations. Jose Palomo at the plate. Martinez check swing foul. Makes it 0-2. What a job by the Eagle defense there to help out your pitcher. Makes the catch in left field, and then comes up throwing, and Nations threw it all the way to home plate. And Herrera made the catch and the tag on the collision for out number two. And now an 0-2 count. The 0-2 pitch outside, ball one. One ball, two strikes, two outs here in the top of the fifth. 3-2. Georgetown still holds on to a one-run lead thanks to that outfield assist by Nations. The 1-2 pitch just low and outside. Ball two. Evens up the count at 2-2. Here in the top of the fifth. Stovall Hawkins from the windup. The 2-2 pitch. Just off the outside of the plate, and that makes it a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here in the top of the fifth, Martinez steps out, looks down, gets the signal, and steps back in. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. Stovall Hawkins from the windup. The 3-2 pitch fouled off back behind home plate. As Martinez stays alive, 3-2 the count. Runners at second and third. Churchill Chargers and the Rockwall Heath Hawks starting to do their warm-ups for the 4:30 ball game. The 3-2 pitch, up and out, and it's a walk issued to Martinez. And that'll load the bases back up with 2 outs here in the top of the fifth and bring up Matthew Rodriguez. Rodriguez will step in from the left or the right side. 2 outs, bases loaded. Stovall Hawkins back to the windup here with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Rodriguez steps back in. The first pitch to Rodriguez. A fly ball sent into left field. Nations calls out for it. And he'll make the catch for out number 3. So the Eagles escape trouble here in the top of the fifth. Bases loaded a couple of times. But thanks to the beautiful outfit assist from Nations after the fly out to left field, the Eagles avoid giving up a run, and they maintain the lead as they go to the bottom of the fifth. Quick timeout. Back with the bottom of the fifth and more Eagle baseball on SHN in just a moment. go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Eli Hellman will lead things off for the Eagles here in the bottom of the 5th. Hellman, Leininger, Herrera due up for the Eagles. The 3-2 lead. Hellman from the right side, the first pitch. Hellman hits it out between the 5-6 gap into left field for a leadoff single. First pitch swinging, and Eli Hellman, the senior shortstop, leads it off with a base hit, and the Eagles in business. Here quickly in the bottom of the 5th, the leadoff man aboard, and that'll bring up Riley Leininger, the third baseman. Leininger, the name you heard a lot last year in the DH spot for the Eagles as a sophomore. Had a great summer, now steps in, playing third base here in the first game of the season for the Eagles. Leininger from the left side. Hellman leads off first. First pitch to Leininger outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count. To Leininger. Hellman gets a big lead off first. The 1-0 pitch to Leininger as Hellman takes off for second. The throw down to second. It'll be in time. 2-6, caught stealing. And that'll erase the base runner here in the bottom of the 5th for the Eagles. One 1 the count to Leininger. Back from the windup is Perez. The 1-1 pitch just misses low and outside. Ball 2, 2-1 now to Riley. Leininger back in from the left side. The 2-1 pitch outside, ball 3. Herrera due up next, the catcher for the Eagles. Here in the bottom of the 5th, Perez from the windup. The 3-1 pitch to Leininger. Inside, ball 4. And Leininger will draw a 1-out walk. And that'll bring up the catcher, Reese Herrera.
Now batting number 16, Reese Herrera.
1 out here in the bottom of the 5th, 3-2. Georgetown with the 1-run lead over the Carroll Tigers. Tigers have a man up in the bullpen warming up. Here in the bottom of the 5th, Leininger gets the lead off first. The first pitch to Herrera is in there for a called strike 1. 0-1 the count. Perez in the stretch, comes set. The 0-1 pitch. Herrera fouls it off down the first baseline. Now falls behind, no balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. Perez comes set, Herrera back in the box. Leininger leads off first, the 0-2 pitch high for ball 1. 1-2 now the count to Reese Herrera. Devin Peterson due up next for the Eagles here in the bottom of the 5th. Leininger leads off first. The 1-2 pitch, and Herrera sends it into center field, and it's going to fall for a base hit. Center fielder cuts it off. Leininger moves up to second. Now the Eagles have runners on first and second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. As Devin Peterson steps in. Peterson, the center fielder, steps in here from the right side as Jacob Faltasek comes on to a courtesy run for the catcher, Reese Herrera. So Faltasek will be at first. Riley Leininger at second. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Peterson steps in from the right side. Perez from the stretch. Good timing on the music from the booth. That'll draw a timeout from the catcher. He'll go out to visit with Perez. That wind a gusting in our ears. Wind nice and high here today out of the north. Blowing from over the left field wall towards the first base line. As Perez comes set. First pitch to Peterson. Peterson takes it for a called strike. 0-1 the count for the center fielder. Runners on first and second, one out here in the bottom of the fifth. Georgetown, the one-run lead, 3-2 over the Tigers of Corpus Christi Carroll. Perez a look at second. The 0-1 pitch. And a ground ball down the third baseline. Trickles foul. And Devin Peterson falls behind. 0-2 in the count here. Perez back on the mound. Faltasek leads off first. Leininger off second. Perez comes set and look at second. The 1-2 pitch. And Peterson fouls it off. Stays alive in the at-bat. No balls, 2 strikes. Just one out here in the bottom of the fifth. Coach Vier giving out the signals. Peterson looks down the line, now steps back in the right-handed batter's box. Leininger leads off second. Faltasek off first. A look at second, the pitch. Low and outside, nice scoop there by the Tigers catcher. Palomo to keep that one from the backstop. Keeps the runners at bay. 1-2 now the count. To Peterson. Perez from the stretch. The 1-2 pitch. Peterson ground ball towards third. Roman's going to field it. He's going to step on third for the second out. Faltasek will advance to second. Peterson reaches first on the fielder's choice. 6 unassisted. And that'll bring up 2 outs here in the bottom of the fifth for the Eagles. And that'll bring up to bat Riley Hill, the right fielder. But not before a timeout. And it looks like a call to the bullpen for the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. We'll take the timeout with them. Be back. More Georgetown Eagle baseball in a minute here on SHN. The G-Town Lumber and Supply call to the bullpen for the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Number 10, Isaac Perez, leaves the game with 2 outs here in the bottom of the fifth. And he'll be replaced by number 26, Raul Trevino, a sophomore right-hander for the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Palomo goes out and talks with him before he faces off against the right fielder, Riley Hill. Georgetown has 2 outs here in the bottom of the fifth. Runners on first and second and a 3-2 lead here in the ball game. Hill steps in from the right side. Trevino will work from the stretch. With runners on first and second and 2 outs here in the bottom of the fifth. Trevino comes set to look at second. The first pitch to Hill. And it's called strike 1. 0-1 the count to Hill. Chance Pernica, the designated hitter, on deck for the Eagles. Should they get to him? Hill back in from the right side. Trevino Comes set from the stretch. Looks at second base. Faltasek leads off there. The 0-1 pitch. Hops in. Palomo blocks it there. Faltasek gets back as Palomo throws down to second, but not in time. 1-1 the count to Hill. A nice block there by Palomo to keep it in front of him. Peterson leads off first. Faltasek off second. Hill ready in the box. The 1-1 pitch. And Hill fouls it off himself for a strike. 1-2 now the count with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th. David Marcello, the head coach of the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Assistant coaches David Galvan, Jesse Cruz, and Cody Martinez. Trevino comes set. Look at second base. The 1-2 pitch to Hill. Low and inside. Nope. Called strike 3. And Hill goes down on strikes for the 3rd out of the inning. After 5 complete, Georgetown with a 1-run lead, 3-2. We'll take a quick timeout. Be back with the top of the 6th inning. You're listening to Georgetown Eagle Baseball live on SHN Sports. We go to the top of the 6th. Brandon Stovall on the mound again here in the 2nd inning of work for the Eagles. Two and 0 the count here. Raul Trevino, the number 9 hitter, in place of Isaac Perez. The 2-0 pitch. Sails high, ball 3. 3-0 the count here to Trevino for the Tigers. Back to the top of the lineup after Trevino, Hewitt and Chavez. Stovall from the windup. The 3-0 pitch. And misses low for ball 4. A 4-pitch walk. Puts a runner on first base here in the top of the 6th inning. And that'll bring up Easton Hewitt, shortstop for the Tigers. He'll step in from the right side with no outs and a runner on first here in the top of the 6th. 3-2, still your score. Georgetown by 1. Stovall moves to the stretch here. Ashby will hold the runner Trevino on at first. It's going to be a courtesy runner for the pitcher Trevino. It'll be number 25. That'll be Brandon Sosa. Courtesy running. Hewitt takes a timeout at home plate, steps out. And now Hewitt will step back in. No outs here in the top of the 6th. A runner on first. Stovall from the stretch. A look over at first base as Ashby holds Sosa on at first. Stovall comes set. The first pitch to Hewitt. Misses outside, ball 1. Stovall now set. The 1-0 pitch to Hewitt. And a fly ball hit towards the right side. The right fielder comes in, makes the catch. He'll fire over to first, but Sosa able to get back in time. F9 for the out. On the fly ball, caught by the right fielder, Riley Hill. Now the Eagles have one out. Recorded here in the top of the sixth. As Chris Chavez will step in from the left side for the Tigers. The runner on first and one out. Stovall from the stretch. A look over at Sosa at first. Ashby holds him on. Stovall comes set. The first pitch. And a ball fouled out down the left side for strike one. 0-1 to count to Chavez. Chavez back in the box. Stovall a look at first. Sosa leads off. Ashby holds him on there. Now Stovall comes set. A pickoff attempt, and it gets by. It's low and skips down the right field line. Sosa takes off for second. He'll in to field it and make the throw across the diamond. So Sosa advances to second base there. So 0-1 to count to the hitter Chavez. And now the courtesy runner Sosa moves up to second base for the Tigers with one out. Raising Cane's a proud sponsor this year's Central Texas First Pitch Classic. Freshly made and constantly craved Raising Cane's chicken is one love you won't regret. And BSN Sports, a shout out to them for providing baseballs for all the teams participating in this year's tournament. Raising Cane's and BSN Sports, proud sponsors of the First Pitch Classic, live here in the Central Texas area. Chavez steps back in. Stovall comes set. The 0-1 pitch, low and inside. Herrera keeps it in front of him. Evens out the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out, a runner down at second here in the top of the sixth. Corpus Christi Carroll trying to scratch another run across and tie this one up. Down to the last 5 outs of the ball game. Sosa leads off second. Hellman behind him. Stovall comes set, the 1-1 pitch, and a ball slapped into right field, and it's going to be over the head of Hill. A shot all the way to the wall, and that's going to get Sosa around from second. Chavez circles second. He's headed to third, and he'll be in safely with a 1-out triple. Oh, what a shot there by Chavez, and he does it. He ties it up with an RBI triple. The ball game is tied at 3 now. Here in the top of the sixth, and that'll bring up the catcher, Palomo. Chavez, beautiful shot there. Over the head of Hill, all the way to the wall. Stovall will come set from the stretch. The first pitch to Palomo is high for ball 1. 1-0 the count to the catcher, Palomo. Palomo from the right side steps back in. Stovall comes set. The 1-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. 1-1 the count now to Palomo. E.J. Cantu, the second baseman on deck for the Tigers. 1 out here in the top of the sixth. All square after the RBI triple by Chris Chavez. The 1-1 pitch. Pop up right side of the infield. Ashby drifts back. He'll make the call. He'll make the catch for out number 2. And Chavez stays set there at third base. So now there'll be 2 outs here in the top of the sixth, and E.J. Cantu will come up to bat. The go-ahead run just 90 feet away with 2 outs here in the top of the sixth inning. Stovall from the stretch. Cantu steps in from the left side. Chavez leads off third. First pitch outside for a ball. 1-0 the count to E.J. Cantu. The second baseman, Jake Cruz, the first baseman on deck for the Tigers. Should they get to him here in the top of the 6th inning? Stovall comes set. Chavez leads off second, or off third. And now a no pitch. A balk called on Stovall. Now it'll score the runner Chavez from third. And the Tigers will take a 4-3 lead on the balk call that scores the runner from third. So now Cantu will step back in from the left side. 1-0 the count with 2 outs. Here in the top of the 6th, base is empty. Swing and a miss. Strike 1 to Cantu. 1-1 the count now to the left-handed hitting second baseman. Stovall back in the windup. The 1-1 pitch. Ball hit down the first baseline, pulled foul. The count moves to 1 ball and 2 strikes for Cantu. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th. Corpus Christi Carroll scratches 2 so far here in the top of the 6th to take a 4-3 lead over your Eagles. Stovall from the windup. Cantu now ready. The 1-2 pitch. And a pop fly on the right side. Ashby drifts back into foul territory and makes the catch for out number 3. But not before the Carroll Tigers put up 2 runs here in the top of the 6th and take a 4-3 lead. We'll take a timeout, be back with the bottom of the 6th here on SHN Sports coverage of Georgetown Eagle Baseball. Raising Cane's proud sponsor this year's Central Texas First Pitch Classic. Freshly made and constantly craved Raising Cane's chicken. It's one love you won't regret. And also like to thank BSN Sports, providing baseballs for all the teams participating in this year's tournament. And we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Carroll takes a 1-run lead. In the top half of the 6th, Raul Trevino on. Again here in the top of the 6th, first pitch to Pernica. And he pops it up down the right side. The first baseman ranges over, but it's out of play for strike 1. So Pernica stays alive here with an 0-1 count now, after that one's fouled off. Pernica, Peters, and Ashby. Correction, Pernica, and it should be, we'll see who steps into bat in that spot. Trevino from the windup to Pernica. This one stays up and in. 1-1 now. The count evens out to Chance Pernica. As he leads things off here in the bottom of the 6th for the Eagles. Pernica ready. Trevino ready. The 1-1 pitch fouled off, back out of play for strike 2. Now Trevino in the ahead in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Pernica. Pernica back in from the right side. Raul Trevino, the sophomore pitcher on the mound from the windup. The 1-2 pitch to Pernica. Low ball 2. Pernica evens out the count now. 2 balls and 2 strikes. No outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The 2-2 pitch bounces in there about 4 feet short. Ball 3. And now a full count to Pernica. 3 balls, 2 strikes, no outs. As he leads things off here in the bottom half of the 6th for the Georgetown Eagles. 1 run in the first, 2 in the second for the Eagles. 2 runs in the 4th, 2 in the 6th for the Tigers. They have the 1-run lead now. Trevino from the windup, the full pitch count. And Pernica pops it up down the left sideline. Trio of Tigers in the area. The shortstop calls it off and makes the catch. F6 on the putout to retire Pernica for the first out of the inning. And Peter stays into bat here. For the Eagles. He'll step in from the right side with 1 out. Cooper Ashby on deck for the Eagles. Trevino from the windup. The first pitch to Peters is on the outside corner for a called strike 1. Trevino comes set. The 0-1 pitch to Peters. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Now Peters behind in the count. No balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. Trevino from the windup from the right first base side of the rubber. The 0-2 pitch stays high for ball 1. 1-2 now the count. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th, Trevino from the windup. The 1-2 pitch to Peters. Low and outside, ball 2. Evens up the count at 2-2 now. Cooper Ashby, the first baseman, waits on deck for the Eagles. Here in the bottom of the 6th, trailing by 1, 4-3. Trevino from the windup, the 2-2 pitch. And Peters puts it in play off the mound out towards the shortstop. He'll field it, make the throw across, and it's wide. It's an error on the shortstop. The catcher, Paloma, down to back it up and throw it down to second again, but not in time. So Peters reaches on an E6 and advances to second base. And that'll bring up Cooper Ashby. With 1 out, a runner on second base here in the bottom of the 6th. Georgetown looking to try to tie this one up. They trail by 1, 4-3. After the Carroll Tigers put up 2 runs in the top half of this inning. Trevino will move to the stretch here. The middle half of the rubber. Peters leads off second, a spin and throw. Peters dives back in safely at second base. Andrew Nations, the left fielder, on deck. He's the leadoff hitter in the Eagle lineup here in today's first ball game. He waits on deck behind Ashby. Ashby from the right side. Trevino comes set. A look at second base. The first pitch, low for ball 1 to Cooper Ashby. 1-0 the count with 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th. And Brady Peters, ground ball out towards short. Shortstop fielded it, but his throw was wide of the bag at first base. Peters advanced to second base. 1-0 the count to Ashby. Trevino's 1-0 pitch, high and inside, ball 2. 2-0 now the count to Ashby. Back in the 2nd and 3rd innings, Eagles had a couple of runners thrown out at home on great outfield assists by the Tiger outfielders. Kept a couple runs off the board. Now the Tigers took the 1-run lead. The 2-0 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1 to Ashby. 2 balls, 1 strike with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Peters off second base. Ashby, the first baseman, back in from the right side. Trevino from the stretch. Comes set. Takes a look at second base. Now the 2-1 pitch. Outside and elevated for a ball. 3-1 now the count to Ashby. With Andrew Nations, the left fielder, on deck. Ashby back in. Trevino set. The 3-1 pitch. Fouled off back to the backstop. Now the count runs full at 3 balls and 2 strikes to Cooper Ashby. Raul Trevino, the sophomore, came on a relief with 2 outs at the bottom of the 5th inning. On for his first full inning of work here in the bottom of the 6th. Comes set from the stretch. The 3-2 pitch. Outside and high, ball 4, and Ashby draws a one-out walk. And now the Eagles have runners on first and second with one out, and the leadoff hitter due up, Andrew Nations. He'll step in from the left side. Palomo out to visit with Trevino on the mound. The go-ahead run scored in the top of the 6th by the Tigers came on a balk called on Brandon Stovall. It was tied at 3-3 on a RBI triple by Chavez, and he was moved in on the balk call. Now the Eagles looking to try to even things back up here in the bottom of the 6th. Runners on first and second with one out. Nations in from the left side. The first pitch outside. No, outside corner. Wow. Called strike 1. One and 0 the count, or 0-1 the count to Nations with one out. Runners on first and second. Trevino comes set. The 0-1 pitch. Squares the bunt. Pulls it back, and there goes Peters on the throw down to second. The throw gets away, and that'll allow Cooper Ashby to move up to second base. What a job there by Peters to get down to third, but the throw from the second baseman got away over to the dugout. So both runners are safe. 1-1 the count. They do call a ball. They checked with the field umpire. So 1-1 the count. Now runners at second and third with one out. For the Eagles here in the bottom of the 6th. An opportunity to even this up. Now the infield in for the Tigers. All the way around at the edge of the grass. Trevino back to the windup. The 1-1 pitch to Nations. Up and out. Ball 2. 2-1 the count now. To the left-handed hitting left fielder. Nations back in from the left side. Brady Peters off third. Cooper Ashby off second. The 2-1 pitch. Up and outside. Ball 3. 3-1. Now the count to Nations. On deck for your Eagles is the shortstop, Eli Hellman. Trevino didn't like the ball. Switches it out with Palomo and the umpire. Back to the mound goes the sophomore right-hander for the Tigers. One out here in the bottom of the 6th. 3-1 the count to Andrew Nations, the left-handed hitting left fielder for the Eagles. Runners on second and third. Ashby leads off second. Brady Peters leads off third. Trevino from the windup. The 3-1 pitch. I agree with Nations. I would have set my bat and taken off to first base as well. Looked a little low and outside, but called strike 2. And now a full count to Nations. 3 balls, 2 strikes. With one out, runners on second and third. The 3-2 pitch, up and out, ball 4. And now the bases loaded full of Eagles with one out. And Eli Hellman coming up to bat, the senior shortstop. And right behind him, the big left-handed hitting Riley Leiniger, third baseman for your Eagles, due up after Hellman. Hellman will step in from the right side with the bases loaded and one out. The middle infield back at double play depth. The corners in on the grass for the Tigers. First pitch, a breaking pitch in there for a called strike 1. 0-1 to count to Eli Hellman. Peters at third, Ashby at second. And Andrew Nations down at first base. The 0-1 pitch. Hellman fouls it off down the right field line. Falls behind, no balls and 2 strikes now. To Trevino. 0-2 the count with one out, bases loaded. Trevino from the windup, the 0-2 pitch. Hellman, fly ball back out of play. Stays alive in the at-bat. No balls, 2 strikes. With one out, bases loaded. Eagles trying to get the lead back from the Tigers. 4-3. Corpus Christi Carroll leads it by 1 here in the bottom of the 6th. Trevino from the windup. The 0-2 pitch. That'll hit Hellman, and that will draw the ball game tied. Hellman on a hit by a pitch advances to first base. Brady Peters scores from third. Reset the count. Add a run to the board. And the Eagles are back in the same spot, but what a spot it is to be in here. The third baseman, Riley Leininger, steps in from the left side with bases loaded and 1 out. And a tie ball game. 4-4 your score. Hellman down at first. Nations down at second. Ashby down at third. Trevino from the windup. The first pitch to Leininger bounces in about 3 feet short for ball 1. Nice block by the catcher Palomo there to keep it in front of him. 1 ball, no strikes, the count. Leininger back in from the left side. Palomo works from the first base side of the rubber from the windup. The 1-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. 1-1 to count now. To Leininger. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. The Eagles have tied it up. The hit by pitch of Eli Hellman scored Peters from third. Trevino back from the windup. The 1-1 pitch to Leininger. Low and outside. Great block there by Palomo. 2-1 now the count. To the left-handed hitting, Riley Leininger. Reese Herrera, the catcher, on deck for the Eagles. From the windup, the 2-1 pitch. Leininger takes it inside, ball 3. 3-1 to count now to Riley Leininger with 1 out and the bases loaded. Love to see Leininger slap one down the first baseline. The wind blowing that way. The 3-1 pitch. And it's outside, ball 4. And so another run comes in for the Eagles. The bases stay loaded, clear the count, put the run on the board, and the Eagles have taken a 5-4 lead, and now a timeout from the Tiger side of the field, and we'll take it with them. Back with more Eagle baseball in a moment on SHN. Back here in the bottom of the 6th inning, the fight song brings us back, and Reese Herrera steps in for the Eagles. Bases loaded, 1 out, 2 runs across already here in the inning. Trevino from the windup, the first pitch to Herrera, bounces in for ball 1. Georgetown has taken the lead back 5-4 after the Tigers took the lead 4-3 in the top of the 6th. Herrera in from the right side, the 1-0 pitch. Up high, ball 2. 2-0 the count now to the catcher, Reese Herrera. On deck, Devin Peterson, the center fielder for the Eagles. A hit by pitch of Hellman brought in the first run. A walk to Riley Leininger brings in the second of the inning. Bases stay loaded with 1 out. The 2-0 pitch to Herrera skips in for ball 3. 3-0 the count now to Reese Herrera. Nations down at third. Eli Hellman down at second. Leininger down at first. Trevino from the windup. The 3-0 pitch. It's in there for a called strike. Herrera taking all the way there. See your Coach Vieira in the background talking to him there. 3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Bases loaded. Georgetown trying to add some more runs here in the bottom half of the 6th. Trevino from the windup, the 3-1 pitch, outside ball 4, and there's another run for your Eagles. They take a 2-run lead on the base on balls. That'll score Andrew Nations from third. That'll move Eli Hellman up to third. Leininger down to second. Herrera will take first base, but before we go further, should be a courtesy runner coming for the catcher, Reese Herrera, and there it is. It's going to be Jacob Faltasek to come on a run for Herrera. And now steps in Devin Peterson, the center fielder. Riley Hill, the right fielder, on deck. The Eagles 3 runs across here in the bottom of the 6th inning. to take a 2-run lead, 6-4. Peterson steps in from the right side. Trevino from the windup. 1 out, bases loaded. The first pitch to Peterson. Skips in there for ball 1. Tell you what, Palomo is getting his work in today behind the plate, doing a great job at keeping the ball in front of him the entire time. To keep the runners at bay. The bases stay loaded. Hellman at third, Leininger at second. Jacob Faltasek, the courtesy runner at first. A hit by pitch and 2 back-to-back walks. The 1-0 pitch is in there for a called strike to Peterson. Now 1-1 to count with 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th, Trevino from the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Low and inside, ball 2. 2-1 the count to Peterson. 1 run in the bottom of the first, 2 in the bottom of the second, 3 here in the bottom of the 6th. The 2-1 pitch. Check swing, called strike 2. Peterson couldn't hold a swing there. It evens out the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th, base is still loaded. Trevino from the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Outside, ball 3, full count. To Devin Peterson. Riley Hill waits on deck. Trevino from the windup, the payoff pitch. Up high, ball 4, and another run comes in for your Eagles. 7-4, now your score, and the bases remain loaded with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. 3 walks in a row, preceded by the hit by pitch of Eli Hellman. The Eagles have pushed 4 runs across here in the bottom of the 6th inning to take a 7-4 lead over the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Palomo out to meet with his pitcher, the sophomore, Raul Trevino. Now Palomo back behind the plate. Dave Palomo, the junior catcher, returns to home, and now Riley Hill steps in. First pitch of the at-bat from Trevino to Hill with the bases loaded and 1 out. It's in there for a called strike. No balls, 1 strike the count to Riley Hill, the right fielder. Chance Pernicka, the designated hitter, waits on deck for the Eagles. The 0-1 pitch. Ground ball out in front of the plate down the third baseline, but it's going to trickle foul. And the count will go to 0-2 on Hill with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Rockwall Heath Hawk fans starting to fill into the stadium as they get ready to take on the Winston Churchill Chargers in the 4:30 ball game. And then your Eagles will be back in action against the Rockwall Heath Hawks at 7 p.m. tonight. Here in the Raising Canes Central Texas First Pitch Classic. Proud sponsors, Raising Canes and BSN Sports. Helping make this big tournament here in Central Texas a success. Trevino, the 0-2 pitch, up and outside for ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Riley Hill. Base is full. Leininger down at third, Faltasek down at second. Peterson at first. The 1-2 pitch, up and in. Throw down behind the runner at first, but not in time. Nice hustle by Peterson to get back there. Palomo threw behind the runner, but not in time. Count evens up at 2 balls and 2 strikes to Riley Hill. Trevino from the windup. The 2-2 pitch to Hill. Hill pops it up on the infield. The pitcher comes off the mound and makes the catch in foul territory for out number 2. And that'll bring up Chance Pernicka with bases loaded and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. The Eagles have 4 runs across here in the bottom of the 6th inning to take a 7-4 lead. The Tigers, when they come up in the top of the 7th, will be down to their last 3 outs of the ball game. Pernica steps in from the right side. Trevino from the windup. First pitch, up and away for ball one. 1-0 the count to the designated hitter, Chance Pernica. The 1-0 pitch, up high, ball two. 2-0 the count now to Chance. Leininger down at third base, falls to second. Devin Peterson, the runner at first. The 2-0 pitch from Trevino, low for ball three. 3-0 now the count. Now the count to Chance Pernica with Brady Peters on deck for the Eagles. The 3-0 pitch. And in there for a called strike. 3-1 now the count to Pernica. From the windup, the 3-1 pitch. Low and outside, ball four. And another run on the board, the 5th of the inning for the Eagles, and the lead goes to 4 now, 8-4, as Riley Leininger is brought in on the base on balls. And that'll bring up Brady Peters. Peters will step in from the right side. Pernica leads off first. Peterson off second. Faltasek off third. From the windup, the first pitch is low and inside. Peters hops out of the way. Ball of 1. 1-0 the count to Peters. Cooper Ashby waits on deck for Georgetown. Trevino from the windup, the 1-0 pitch to Peters. Up high, ball 2. Two 2-0 the count to Brady Peters. Oh, the runners lead off from the windup, the 2-0 pitch. Outside corner called strike 1. 2-1 now the count to the right-handed hitting Brady Peters. The 2-1 pitch, inside, ball 3. You can see the wind gusting. You can see the camera moving in outfield, and we have it sturdy out there. It is gusting out of the north. The 3-1 pitch, and Peters puts it in play down the right field line. The right fielder races over and in foul territory, makes the catch for out number 3. But not before the Eagles put up 5 runs here in the bottom of the 6th and take a 4-run lead, 8-4. We go to the top of the 7th. The last 3 outs for the Tigers come here. Georgetown baseball continues in a moment on SHN Sports. Go to the top of the 7th inning. Georgetown leads it 8-4. Over the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. And due up for the Tigers is the first baseman, Jake Cruz, followed by Richie Roman and Matthew Martinez. Cruz from the right side to face off against Brandon Stovall. First pitch, up and in. And it hits Cruz. Cruz will walk down to first base. So the leadoff man aboard for the Tigers here in their last at-bat here in the top of the 7th, down by 4. Cruz down to first, and that'll bring up Richie Roman, the third baseman. Stovall will move to the stretch and look at first, now set. The first pitch to Roman is high for ball 1. Stovall on for his 3rd inning of work here in the first game of the season for the Eagles. They put up 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th to take the 8-4 lead. Looking to close things out here. The 1-0 pitch to Roman, outside ball 2. 2-0 the count as Cruz returns back to first base. Ashby holds him on there. Stovall resets, moves back to the stretch. Stovall comes set. The 2-0 pitch to Roman. Low and inside, ball 3. Three and 0 the count, no outs. Runner at first here in the top of the 7th for the Tigers. Cruz leads off first. Ashby holds him on. Stovall comes set. The 3-0 pitch, low and outside, ball 4. A 4-pitch walk. Makes it runners at first and second with no outs, and that'll bring a time from the Eagles and a visit from Coach Jordan Vieira. We'll take it with him back with more Eagle baseball here in just a moment. Back here at Eagle Field, we are in the top of the 7th inning. Runners on first and second for the Carroll Tigers. They trail by 4 to your Georgetown Eagles, 8-4. And now on in relief for your Eagles is the senior Jacob Faltasek. He wears number 8. So from a defensive lineman to a linebacker, the Eagle pitching staff goes as Jacob Faltasek, the right-hander, comes into work here in the top of the 7th. Runners on first and second with no outs. The first pitch. Ball hit in between short and third into left field. Nations bobbles it. He's up with it. Nope, he drops it again, but the runner going to be held at third. And so a base hit moves the runners up. Now it's loaded with no outs here in the top of the 7th. And that'll bring up number 3. Matthew Rodriguez will step in for the Tigers. Bases loaded with no outs. The Eagles have a 4-run lead, trying to get out of this one and move on to the 7 o'clock game against the Rockwall Heath Hawks. Faltasek comes set. The first pitch, a ball hit into left field. Andrew Nations will settle under it. He'll make the catch. He's going to come up throwing. It'll be cut off by Leininger at third base. Keep the other runners at first and second. So the sac fly by Martinez scores 1. And now it's 8-5 with 1 out. Here in the top of the 7th inning. And I'll have a runners on first and second. Matthew Rodriguez. Nope. Correction. That will be Raul Trevino, the pitcher. He'll come up to bat now. Rodriguez is the fly out. F7 in the book for out number 1 by Nations. Runners at first and second with 1 out, and Trevino steps in from the right side. Faltasek from the stretch. But now Trevino will take a time and step out and reset. 8-5, Georgetown leads it by 3 over the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers. Now Trevino back in the box. Faltasek comes set. The first pitch skips in there for ball 1. 1-0 the count. To Trevino. Roman down at second. Martinez at first for the Tigers. Faltasek gets the sign and comes set. A look at second, the 1-0 pitch. Breaking ball off the outside corner for ball 2. 2-0 the count. To Raul Trevino. Due up next will be Easton Hewitt, the shortstop for the Tigers. Eagles would love to get a double play ground ball here and get out of this one. Faltasek, a 2-0 pitch. Skips in there, ball 3. 3-0 now the count. To Raul Trevino, pitcher of record here for the Tigers. Roman leads off second. Martinez off the first. Faltasek gets the sign from Herrera. He comes set from the stretch and look at second. The 3-0 pitch. Outside corner called strike 1. 3-1 now the count. To Raul Trevino. With 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Georgetown leads by 3, 8-5. Faltasek comes set. The 3-1 pitch. Just misses for ball 4. Now the bases are loaded, full of Tigers with 1 out. And that brings up Easton Hewitt. Hewitt, the leadoff batter for the Tigers, steps in from the right side with bases loaded and 1 out, trailing 8-5. And now a courtesy runner. They get the attention of the home plate umpire. Raul Trevino, the pitcher, will come out. Brandon Sosa will courtesy run. Number 25 will courtesy run for the pitcher, Trevino at first base. So Roman down at third, Martinez at second. Sosa, the courtesy runner, down at first. 1 out. To the leadoff hitter, Easton Hewitt, first pitch. Outside corner called strike 1. 0-1 the count to Easton Hewitt. Faltasek comes set from the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Up and in, ball 1. 1-1 now the count to Hewitt, the shortstop. On deck, it's Chris Chavez. He had an RBI triple in his last at bat. Speedy lefty. Faltasek comes set. The 1-1 pitch. Outside corner called strike 2. Beautiful breaking pitch there for Faltasek. And now Faltasek ahead in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Hewitt with 1 out. Bases loaded. 5 runs on the board for the Tigers. 8 for the Eagles. Faltasek comes set. And now Hewitt will take a timeout. Now Hewitt back in the box. Roman off third. Martinez off second. Sosa off first. Faltasek from the stretch comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Ground ball hit to the right. It's through into right field. Up with it is Hill. He'll come up throwing. They're going to hold the runner at third. So 1 run in. 8-6 now the score. A base hit. An RBI single for Hewitt. Makes it a 2-run ball game. 1 run in the bottom of the first for the Eagles, 2 in the bottom of the second, 5 in the bottom of the sixth. The Carroll Tigers have put 2 on the board in the top of the fourth, the top of the sixth, and the top of the seventh, and have the bases loaded with 1 out here in the top of the seventh. In steps Chris Chavez. First pitch, low and inside, ball 1 to Chavez. Martinez down at third, Sosa at second, and Hewitt at first. A tying run is at second base for the Tigers. The 1-0 pitch in there for a called strike. 1-1 now, the count to Chris Chavez, the center fielder. Tigers have to have at least 2 runs to stay alive in this ball game. Chavez will take a timeout and step out and reset. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Bases loaded, 8-6, Georgetown by 2. Chavez back in from the left side. Faltasek comes set from the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Up and outside, ball 2. 2-1 the count to the center fielder, Chavez. Faltasek comes set, the 2-1 pitch. Ball slapped foul down the third baseline. Evens out the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes to the left-handed hitting Chavez. On deck, the catcher, Dave Palomo. Chavez back in the box. Faltasek comes set. The 2-2 pitch. And a ball slapped over the shortstop into left field. Nations up with it. It's going to score the runner from third. Nations fires all the way to the plate. And that'll keep the runners at bay. But now 8-7 your score after an RBI single from Chris Chavez. Keeps the bases loaded with only 1 out. Dave Palomo, the catcher, is coming up to bat here from the right side. Behind him will be EJ Cantu. So now the tying run at third base for the Tigers. The go-ahead run down at second base. The corner's in for the Eagles here. 1 out. The first pitch to Palomo. Slap foul down the right field line, out of play. 4 strike 1. 0-1 the count to Palomo. Runners all take a lead. Faltasek comes set from the stretch. The 0-1 pitch to Palomo. Fouled off back to the backstop for strike 2. 0-2 now the count. Switch of balls behind by the catcher, Herrera. And Faltasek back on the mound. No balls, 2 strikes to Palomo. 1 out, bases loaded here in the top of the 7th. 8-7, Georgetown by 1. Tigers have to score at least 1 to stay alive here in the ballgame. Faltasek set, the 0-2 pitch. Pop fly sent into right center field. Collision, but a catch made by Hill. The runners will tag, and the runner will score from third. Riley Hill made the catch through the contact with Peterson for out number 2. But the Tigers tie it up on the sac fly by Palomo, Dave Palomo, I apologize. And now runners on second and third with 2 outs. And EJ Cantu steps in from the left side. 8-8 your score here in the top of the 7th. Runners on second and third with 2 outs. Faltasek comes set. Cantu, the left-handed hitter, ready. The first pitch. That'll hit Cantu. And he'll go down to first base. Bases will be loaded again with 2 outs, and that'll bring up number 24, the first baseman, Jake Cruz. Cruz will step in from the right side. Opportunity to take the lead if he can push a run across with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Falta set comes set. The first pitch to Cruz. Outside corner. Called strike one. 0-1 the count. To Jake Cruz, Richie Roman, the shortstop, or the third baseman on deck for the Tigers. The 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike two. Faltasek way ahead now, no balls and 2 strikes. To Jake Cruz with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th, tie ball game. The Eagles had 5 in the bottom of the 6th. The Tigers have pushed across 4 here in the top half of the 7th. Herrera sets up outside, the 0-2 pitch. Ball hit out to shortstop, Hellman up with it. He'll fire across the diamond to Ashby at first for out number 3. 6-3 on the putout. And the top of the 7th comes to an end, but not before the Tigers put up 4 to tie it up, 8-8. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Georgetown coming up, trying to walk this one off. More Eagle baseball on SHN in a moment. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. Cooper Ashby will lead us off. Ashby, Nations, and Hellman due up here in the bottom of the 7th inning. First pitch into Ashby is low for ball 1. Now on the mound for the Tigers is the junior right-hander, Matthew Rodriguez. First pitch is a ball to Ashby. The 1-0 pitch. Ashby fists it out into right field, and the right fielder takes about 2 steps and makes the catch for out number 1. F9 in the book. Now I'll bring up the left-handed hitting left fielder, Andrew Nations, with Eli Hellman on deck here in the bottom of the 7th for the Eagles. Nations steps in from the left side. Rodriguez from the windup. The first pitch to Nations. High and outside, ball 1. One out here in the bottom of the 7th. No runners on. The 1-0 pitch. Misses outside, ball 2. 2-0 the count to the lefty, Andrew Nations. Back in from the left side. Rodriguez from the windup. The 2-0 pitch. On the outside corner. For called strike. 2-1 now the count to Rodriguez. Rodriguez back on the mound, ready to go. Nations in the box, so waits. Now a timeout as Rodriguez took his time. Nations calls time and resets. From the windup, the 2-1 pitch. About 5 feet short there, bounces into the catcher Palomo. for ball number 3. 3-1 the count now to Andrew Nations. Eli Hellman, the shortstop, on deck for your Eagles. Nations back in. The 3-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. And now a full count to the left-handed hitting Nations with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Nations back in the box. Rodriguez from the windup. The payoff pitch. And Nations fouls it off to the backstop. Stays alive in the count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Rodriguez ready to go. Nations back in from the left side. Rodriguez from the windup. The payoff pitch. Low and outside. Ball 4. And Nations draws a 1-out walk to put the winning run on base for your Eagles. Down at first base, Eli Hellman steps in with Riley Leininger on deck for your Eagles. Hellman, the right-handed hitting shortstop, steps in with 1 out. Nations down at first base. 8-8 your score. Georgetown trying to walk this one off here in the bottom of the 7th. Rodriguez from the stretch. Hellman will bunt it down the third baseline, but it goes foul for strike 1. 0-1 the count to Hellman, trying to get that winning run up to second base in scoring position. But that pitch was a little bit high, and Hellman tried to get it down, but it went foul. So an 0-1 count to Eli Hellman. Rodriguez works from the first base side of the rubber. Looks over at first base. Nations gets the lead. The throw over to first base. Not in time as Nations dives back in safely. Rodriguez comes set. The 0-1 pitch. And Hellman will pop it up. But it'll curl back out of play for strike 2. Now Eli behind in the count. No balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. Here in the bottom half of the 7th. Nations drew a 1-out walk. He's down at first base. Hellman in from the right side. Rodriguez a look at first. Now comes set. The 0-2 pitch to Hellman. Fisted up the middle. Rodriguez can't handle it. He's going to have an only play at first base as Nations got a great jump off contact. And so now with 2 outs, the winning run is in scoring position down at second base. And just what you would want to see, the big left-handed hitting Riley Leininger steps in. Number 3 in the lineup. As Coach Vieira said, hey, how about give it a little ride here? You'd love to see it. The lefty Riley Leininger steps in with the winning run. Down at second base with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Rodriguez will come set from the stretch. The first pitch to Leininger. Up and out for ball 1. Catcher Palomo set up way outside. It looks like he's going to continue to set up outside for the left-handed hitting Leininger. Rodriguez will come set. The 1-0 pitch on the outside corner for a called strike. 1-1 the count now to Riley Leininger with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. The winning run for Georgetown. In scoring position at second base in Andrew Nations. 8-8 your score. Herrera stays out there on the outside part of the plate. The 1-1 pitch. A little low, but called strike 2. 1-2 the count now to Riley Leininger. Rodriguez comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Leininger fisted into left field. The shortstop can't get to it, and they're going to hold up Nations at third base, and now the Eagles are going to have the winning run just 90 feet away. Runners on the corners for the Eagles. Leininger fisted that one into left field for a base hit. And that'll bring up the catcher, Reese Herrera, for the Eagles. A winning run just 90 feet away, and Andrew Nations, as he moves up on the single to left field by Leininger. Up to third base. Paloma steps out and gives the signals to the Tiger defense. As Rodriguez back on the mound. Leininger takes off running. Herrera puts it in play. The shortstop up with it. Skips a couple of steps, throws over to first, but it's dug out nicely there by Jake Cruz for out number 3. And after 7 complete innings, we stay tied at 8-8. And that may... Nope, we're going to go back out. They put the ball up off the mound, so I thought we were going to end it at 7 innings full. But we will go to the top of the 8th. After 7 complete innings, 8-8 your score. The Tigers come back up to bat here in the top of the 8th in just a minute on SHN. We go to the top of the 8th inning. Jacob Faltasek back on the mound for the Eagles. He'll face off against Roman, Martinez, and Rodriguez. Faltasek from the windup. The first pitch to Roman is low for a ball. 1-0 the count. 8-8 your score as we head into bonus baseball. Here in this first game of the season for the Eagles, Roman will send this into left field. The line drive right at Andrew Nations, who comes in about 3 steps and makes the catch for out number 1. That'll bring up Matthew Martinez, the right fielder for the Tigers, with 1 out and the base is empty here in the top of the 8th inning. On deck will be the pitcher, Matthew Rodriguez, for the Tigers here in the top of the 8th inning. Faltasek from the windup. The first pitch is a ball hit to shortstop. Hellman, a little hop in the air, makes the catch on the line drive for out number 2. 1 pitch and another out, and the Eagles have 2 quick outs here in the top of the 8th inning as Matthew Rodriguez, the pitcher of record now for the Tigers, steps in from the right side with 2 outs and the base is empty for the Tigers. Faltasek from the windup. The first pitch to Rodriguez in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count to Rodriguez. The 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Nice off-speed pitch there by Faltasek in for a swinging strike. 0-2 the count now with 2 outs. For Rodriguez, the 0-2 pitch. Inside, just misses for ball 1. 1-2 the count now. To Rodriguez. Faltasek ready in the windup. The 1-2 pitch. High and outside, ball 2. 2-2 now the count to Rodriguez. 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. 2 up, 2 down quickly for the Tigers. Now Rodriguez will take a quick timeout, get out and set himself. Rockwall Heath warms up down the first baseline. They'll be in the cream-colored uniforms with red lettering and accents. The red ball caps in the 4:30 game. Should start about 5:15. And this ball hit down the third baseline. Leininger can't get it. Hellman gets it. Throws across the diamond, and what a play. Eli Hellman put a gold star on that, baby. It went off the glove of Leininger. Hellman fields it on the backhand and fires across the diamond to get Rodriguez by half a step for the 3rd out. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Georgetown, a chance to walk it off again after this break. More Eagle Baseball will be right with you. go to the bottom of the 8th. Devin Peterson, the center fielder, steps in to lead things off for the Eagles against Rodriguez, on for his second inning of work. The first pitch to Peterson, and a ground ball hit up the middle. The shortstop ranges over, fields it, throws from behind second base in time for out number 1. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. I'll get it all updated. And now a pinch hitter here for the Eagles in the bottom of the 8th. Hitting for the right fielder, Riley Hill. It's going to be number 18, and I don't even have him on here. It's Fluid. I've got to get the updated roster from Coach Vieira. Fluid steps in to face off against Rodriguez with 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The first pitch from Rodriguez, outside corner, called strike 1. 0-1 the count now with 1 out. To the left-handed hitting Fluid. The 0-1 pitch. And Fluid fouls it off down the first baseline, out of play. For strike 2. 0-2 the count now. Chance Pernica on deck for the Eagles here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Rodriguez from the windup, the 0-2 pitch. And Fluid right up the middle. Rodriguez fields it, makes the throw to first in time for the second out of the inning. So 2 quick outs here for the Georgetown Eagles in the bottom of the 8th. And that'll bring up Chance Pernica. The right-handed hitting Pernica will step in with 2 outs and the base is empty. Pernica settles in. Rodriguez from the windup. The first pitch. And Pernica into right field. A base hit. Try to throw him out at first base, but not in time. Yeah, outfielders are playing in due to the wind situation. Everything being knocked down by this north wind coming out of the left field area. And Pernica hustles down the line for a 2-out single. And that'll bring up Brady Peters. And now we'll have a pinch runner here for the Eagles. We'll see who comes into the ball game. It looks like it's going to be number 6, the junior Cord Lawrence. They're going to come in to run. Pinch run for Pernica with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Brady Peters due up for the Eagles. Brady Peters steps in from the right side with 2 outs. A runner on first here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Rodriguez from the stretch comes set. The first pitch, and Peters, little blooper into right field. The second baseman on the run will make the catch in shallow right field for out number 3. And that'll bring the 8th inning to a close. We'll go to the top of the 9th, all tied at 8 apiece. You're listening to Georgetown Eagle Baseball on SHN. Back here at Eagle Field in the top of the 9th inning. A pinch hitter in the ball game for the Tigers out of Corpus Christi Carroll. It'll be number 1, Derek Chavez, the sophomore. He'll step in to bat here in the top of the ninth inning. And Coach Vieira out to update the card for the umpire, so we'll try to find out where our changes are in the field. Looks like it's going to be in right field. Riley Hill is going to come out, and then Fluid is going to go into right field for Hill. So that change was made not only at the plate, but in the field as well defensively. So the left-handed throwing Fluid out in right field for the Eagles defensively. And now, first pitch from Faltasek here in the top of the ninth, fouled off back out of the grandstand for strike one. Derek Chavez, the sophomore, steps in from the right side. Quickly behind in the count, no balls and one strike. Faltasek from the windup. The 0-1 pitch misses outside for ball one. 1-1 now the count. Here at the top of the ninth, bonus baseball all for free, brought to you here on SHN. Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers and your Georgetown Eagles. The 1-1 pitch fouled off, and a great job by number 19, Easton Hewitt. Dodges that one off the wall. Now the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Derek Chavez. He's hitting in place in the number 9 hole, replacing Isaac Perez and then what was Raul Trevino. So Derek Chavez, the sophomore right-handed hitter, steps back in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jacob Faltasek on for his third inning of work. The 1-2 pitch popped up on the infield. The catcher Herrera turns around, and he'll make the catch in foul territory for out number 1. Great job there by Herrera to get out, turn around and see the ball, and make the catch for out number 1. And that'll bring up the leadoff batter, number 19, Easton Hewitt, the shortstop. He'll step in from the right side with 1 out here in the top of the 9th inning. Come the 7 o'clock game, I'll have my scorebook ready, have everything ready. We will not have the first game jitters. First pitch to Hewitt here is just high for ball 1. I want to know the count to Hewitt. The 1-0 pitch, ground ball out towards third. Leininger fields it. Across the diamond, the bullet from Leininger to Ashby is good. 6-3 on the putout. 5-3 on the putout. I apologize. For out number 2. And now Chris Chavez, the center fielder, steps in from the left side. With 2 outs here in the top of the 9th. Faltasek quickly works from the stretch, or from the windup. First pitch, Chavez pops it up right side of the infield. Second baseman calls off Cooper Ashby and makes the catch for out number 3. And the Eagles in and out quickly there in the top of the 9th. They'll come up to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Looking to try to get out of this ball game with a win. 8-8 your score. More Eagle baseball continues in just a moment. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. And that was Brady Peters. I'll make sure I give credit. Make the catch at second base when he called off Cooper Ashby to make that catch there at the end to end the top of the 9th. But now batting, a new pinch hitter. The junior, number 11, Jackson Rainey, will step in for the Eagles in place of Cooper Ashby in the number 9 slot. Andrew Nations on deck for the Eagles here in the bottom of the 9th. First pitch, Randy puts it in play out towards second base. Second baseman ranges over, makes the throw to first in time for out number 1. One pitch, one out here in the bottom of the 9th. That'll bring up the left fielder, Andrew Nations. The left-handed hitting Nations will step in here with one out and the base is empty in the bottom of the 9th. Eli Hellman will be on deck for the Eagles. So we'll see if that change becomes a defensive change as well here if the Eagles have to go back out for Rainey and Cooper Ashby. Nations from the left side, Rodriguez from the windup. The first pitch called strike 1, 0-1 the count. 2 Nations. 0-1 pitch. Outside corner called strike 2. Rodriguez quickly ahead. No balls and 2 strikes to Andrew Nations. Eli Hellman waits on deck for the Eagles here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Rodriguez from the windup. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Drop third strike. Palomo out with it. He'll fire down the baseline in time for the strikeout. And 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th. We'll bring up your shortstop, number 2, Eli Hellman. Beautiful day out here for baseball in the wind and the cold front blowing in. The American flag stands there blowing across out of the north wind. Now the Texas flag joins in. The first pitch to Hellman. Fouled off back towards the dugout for strike 1. 0-1 the count now to Eli Hellman. Rodriguez from the windup. The 0-1 pitch, low and outside, ball 1. 1-1 the count to Eli Hellman. Riley Leininger, the left-handed hitting third baseman, on deck for the Eagles. Here in the bottom of the 9th, should we get to him? Rodriguez from the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Hellman down the third baseline, but it curls foul. And that'll make the count 1 ball and 2 strikes to Eli Hellman. Rodriguez, the 1-2 pitch. And Hellman sends it down the right field line. The right fielder gives chase, but it's going to land foul. And Hellman stays alive in the at-bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th inning. The Rockwall Heath Hawks, the Winston Churchill Chargers, waiting in the wings to play their 4:30 ball game. It's now 5 o'clock. So can almost guarantee you the 7 o'clock game will not start on time for your Eagles. Rodriguez from the windup. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And the Eagles go in order here in the bottom of the 9th. So we'll go to the top of the 10th inning. 8-8 your score. Nope, that's going to be it. After 9 complete innings, that is going to be the ball game as head coach David Marcello and coach Jordan Vieira meet out in front of the home plate area and shake hands. It's going to end in a tie. 8-8 your score after 9 complete innings. That is your final. So at 5 o'clock, 5:01, we end this one. And the Eagles will be back after the 4:30 matchup between the Rockwall Heath Hawks and the Winston Churchill Chargers matchup. And we'll get underway here shortly, about, I would assume, about 5:20, 5:30. And we'll be back at the conclusion of that ball game for tonight's late night tilt between the Georgetown Eagles and the Rockwall Heath Hawks. Let's take a timeout. We'll head down to the field, talk to head coach Jordan Vieira. You're listening to Georgetown Eagle Baseball on SHN Sports. And here he comes. Head coach Jordan Vieira joins us real quick. Coach, a 9-inning ball game to start the season out, but it ends in an 8-8 draw. Some good things out of this, some things to work on. Obviously, first part of the year, a lot of new arms that you see out there. Jacob Falkstead came in and settled in, but a good ball game against this Corpus Christi Carroll team that is a very scrappy baseball team.
Yeah, they're a really well-coached team. You got Brady Peters goes out and gives us a great start to put us in a position where we go. We scratched the 3 early, then kind of fell into a lull. Offensively, we give up the 4, and then we're gifted 5 to give us the lead, and we get a little bit shaky there at the end, and walk in a couple guys, and so it's just not exactly what you want to see. And but there's plenty of bright spots. We got guys getting big hits when we need to, and pushing tempo and doing that kind of stuff. So like you said, we got a long way to go, and but we got some bright spots along the way as well.
An interesting outlook. The day started sunny, and now this big north wind comes in.
Yeah.
And what kind of havoc that plays with these kids hitting the ball into the outfield. A lot of plays being made at home plate, a couple of guys throwing out at home early in the ball game. And so now we look forward, 7 o'clock, well, probably be about 8 o'clock, Rockwall Heath.
Yep.
What's that look like for the Eagles?
Yeah, it's a really good club. We got Nolan John Dog going for us tonight, so he's expecting him to give us a quality start and give us a chance. And hopefully we'll be able to get some big hits when we need to and be able to move some guys and start to execute some stuff offensively.
Coach Jordan Vieira, thanks for visiting with us, Coach.
Thanks,
See you this evening.
Thanks,
We'll be right back here on SHN to wrap it up. Be back tonight for tonight's ball game. Stay with us. I'm back here live in the booth. Your Georgetown Eagles go 9 full innings against the Corpus Christi Carroll Tigers, and it ends in an 8-8 draw. Some good things there. You hear Coach Vieira talk about it tonight. Come back against the Rockwall Heath Hawks in the night tilt. Nolan Jondal will be on the mound for your Eagles. Thanks for joining us today here in the first game of the season. We'll be back for tonight's tilt against the Rockwall Heath Hawks live here on SHN. Remember, it doesn't cost you a dime to be kind. Have a good night.